That's Howard Jones from 1984's Humans Live album with New Song right here on That Modern Rock Show, and Howard Jones will be performing the entire album Humans Live along with the entire album Dream into Action at the Mayo Performing Arts Center in Morristown, New Jersey on June 23rd, and Howard Jones is our guest tonight on That Modern Rock Show. And I have to ask you, when you first got into music, I mean, obviously you're known as a keyboard player. What were you listening to when you first discovered music?
Well, I mean, I grew up. I mean, the first album I bought when I was really young was Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
That's a good start.
And it was vinyl, and it was mono. So that was the first album. But I used to listen to people like Blood, Sweat and Tears, and I used to listen to Stevie Wonder and Elton John, and I was a big fan of Keith Emerson because he was like the sort of Jimi Hendrix of keyboards.
Right.
And so I was into him when he was in his first band, The Nice. And so basically, great. I always loved great keyboard players, and really sort of got very influenced by mainly people from the 70s. I mean, and then when Keith Emerson started using the big Moog on stage, I saw him do that in 1970, and when they just formed ELP, and it kind of blew me away, the sound. So I was hooked, really, from then on.
So naturally you go from playing piano to getting a synthesizer. Was that sometime when you were in high school?
I was still into piano at high school,
mm-hmm.
and I occasionally was able to borrow a Vox Continental organ to do gigs with, but it wasn't till I was about 25 that synthesizers came down in price. So it was actually possible to buy sort of entry level synthesizer to start work on it. So that's really what it was. I was really waiting for it to become affordable, and then I spent everything I had on buying more and more gear.
And of course, you had great success right off the bat, with the first album, Humans Live, and singles like What Is Love and New Song. As I'm talking to you, it just dawned on me, of all the people I've interviewed, and I've had a lot of musical guests on this show, I think you're the only person I've had on who played Live Aid. Do you have any special memories of playing that show?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was on tour on the west coast of America at the time, so I had to cancel a few shows and fly back to London, and I was very jet lagged. I didn't really know what to expect, but I mean it was the most incredible day. I mean, I flew in on a helicopter with the guys from Queen, and I met Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney, and I met David Bowie that day, and I kind of hung out with the most incredible royalty of rock. And then went out and played a song, one song on my own at the piano, and it was just amazing experience. I mean, it was the biggest gig that I've ever done, and the biggest gig that I'll ever do. I think there's about 1 billion people watching on TV, and I started the song off, and I got to the chorus, and suddenly the whole audience, joined in with me and sang along, and it was. From that moment on, I kind of relaxed a bit and started to enjoy the fact that I was there. But it was really an incredible experience, and I'm so glad that I was able to be part of that. I think the best thing that really happened during the 80s, that was amazing. The first sort of truly global event, and amazing to be part of a historical occasion.
Well, you did an incredible performance of Hide and Seek, which is one of the songs you'll hear on the current Howard Jones tour, which is coming to the U.S., and Howard will be at the Mayo Performing Arts Center in Morristown, New Jersey on June 23rd. Why do this after all these years? Humans Live and Dream into Action, why do those two albums back-to-back as a show?
Well, it was really a couple of things coming together. One was the fans have always wanted me to do this, so it's been the most requested thing from the fans. And at the same time, I did a deal with Warner Brothers that could license back my masters from them to put out some remastered box sets of stuff, and so that meant that we had access to the original multi-tracks of the albums. So because we wanted to like meticulously recreate the albums, having the multi-tracks there was amazing, because I could actually go under the bonnet and find exactly what keyboard sounds I'd used and all the layers that I'd used, and we could sample the sequences, we could sample all the drum sounds to put into the electronic drum kit. So it was all these things coming together that enabled us to do it, so we just went for it.
You've done so many shows over the years, and of course those albums have hits on them that I'm sure you've played as encores or whatever, New Song and What Is Love, and
yeah.
But some of the album tracks, I would imagine that up until a few years ago, you hadn't played in a long, long time. How did it feel to revisit some of those songs?
Well, it's very interesting. When I started working on them, it was kind of like sort of reading a diary of a sort of younger self,
mm-hmm.
and obviously those songs were done about 25 years ago, and it was like getting remembering what I felt like at that time and the way I was thinking, and it was a really interesting experience actually to do that. So I've really enjoyed it. It's been one of the most challenging things I've done musically, because it involved so much work. But it's been totally worth it, and the fans are really enjoying it, so it's good.
Did you ever have the temptation to revise some of your songs, now that you're older and wiser? Or?
No, I didn't, because for me, that's the way that I did them then. That's what I thought about them, and I didn't want. I mean, there's a couple of there's a couple of things where the timing was out, on the original recordings, and we fixed that. We fixed the grooves. So it's actually better timing than it originally was on the album. But that's the only thing we did, really.
When you write music today, do you have the same enthusiasm, or is it a different kind of enthusiasm that you had when you first started out writing music?
Well, I think it's bound to be different, because I think that when you're a young man and you're desperate to establish your own identity as a musician and as a person, music takes on a disproportionate value to you, and you desperately want to get it right, and you spend all day and all night writing and playing, and it's really what a young person should be like, really. I mean, obviously, now I'm 57 now, and so I find new ways to get myself excited about writing and about new sounds. So, I mean, fortunately, people are still developing amazing new things. Like I just got an app for my iPad today, which is a Moog based product, and it just makes the most incredible sounds. And with the iPad interface, it's very different from playing a keyboard. You kind of, you make sounds in a bit of a different way, and that's got me very excited. So it's always looking for new ways to do things and new challenges to sort of bring the creativity out.
And over the years, you've watched all of this technology get smaller.
Yes, yes, and it's great that people now have access. Everyone's got access to it, and everyone can put songs together on GarageBand or on their iPad, or even do stuff on their phone. And I think the fact that it's accessible to everyone is great, and it kind of demystifies it. Of course, it still takes the sort of kind of fanatical person to really put it together in a way that's original and different and has got a new angle on it. So that's always going to be the case.
Well, obviously, the focus of this tour is the first two albums, but you have so many other songs that were very popular, especially here in America, like "Everlasting Love."
Yeah.
Is there an encore at the end of this?
No. It's a 2.5-hour show, so I feel like I've given good value after that. So I will be back, and I will play those other songs at another time, but not on this tour.
Let me just ask you before we wrap up here, and once again, we're talking to Howard Jones, June 23rd at the Mayo Performing Arts Center. Go and see him. And by the way, he's got a lot of dates in the U.S., and you could get all that information at the Howard Jones website, which is howardjones.com. I want to talk to you a little bit about the reissues that you mentioned.
Yeah.
You've got some really lovely packages.
Yes, that's right. Well, a lot of my work from the early years, wasn't properly available, and so I did a deal with Warner Brothers to sort of license back some, my first 5 albums. So we remastered them and put them in beautiful packaging and put some great extra tracks that people couldn't get hold of that were only previously on vinyl and things. And we've really gone to town on making quality packages and getting a great reaction to it, and people are really, really happy about it. So I'm pleased because my work's completely available again, in a really good quality form. So I'm very happy.
Now, my last question for you has to be, what's next? It seems like you've done it all.
Well, I've just, in the last couple of months, I'm starting work and starting to write and prepare for doing a new album that's going to come out next year, because it's my 30th anniversary next year, and I kind of want to do some special shows, but also to show and let the fans have some brand new material as well. So I'm preparing now for that. So it takes me so long to make records that, if I'm going to get it out next year, I've got to get on now.
Well, we're going to let you get on with that right now. We've been talking to Howard Jones, who's playing the Mayo Performing Arts Center in June 23rd, which is a lovely venue, by the way, if you've never been there.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I've played there before. And
I know you're also doing the Paramount Theater in New York on this tour. It's great talking to you, and we wish you all the best, and thanks so much for the time.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's been a pleasure talking to you.